understood the assignment. I understood the assignment.
If you saw that TikTok, shout out to you. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be a true crime and makeup video, my very first one. Yay! I'm so excited. I am an absolute lover of true crime. I love everything true crime all the time, and yeah, I just really wanted to add this into my repertoire on my channel here. So today we are going to be talking about the murder of Yolanda Holmes. She was a 45-year-old mother and business owner from Chicago who was murdered in September of 2012. And so yeah, I'm going to tell y'all this story. I'm gonna do my makeup. This is what we're gonna look like at the end. I have to go to a baby shower like now, so watch this video. Let me know what you're doing while you're watching this video in the comments down below. If you enjoy this video, please give me a subscribe and a thumbs up, and let's jump right in. Okay, so it's 11:56. I have a baby shower to be at 1 o'clock, and I have not done my makeup, so we're gonna sit here and do our makeup together. And I guess we can just get right into this story. If I'm looking down, I have my computer here with notes. Oh my god, I hope you can't hear this chair. If you can hear this chair, I'm gonna have to get a new chair because it's not acceptable. Okay, I've already done my brows and my eyebrows off camera. If you are curious as to what I am using on my face, I will leave all of the products that are used down below in the description box. Okay. So in the early hours of September 2nd, 2012, 8 days before my 17th birthday, the Chicago Police Department receives a 911 call from an apartment building on the corner, not in the corner, near Broadway and Montrose, okay? They are requesting an ambulance for multiple shots fired, and the person on the other line is saying that they are also injured and that somebody appears to be dead, okay? So the police arrive at the apartment and they find the apartment in complete disarray, okay? Everything is everywhere. There's blood everywhere. There's blood all over the floor. There's blood all over the walls. There's dents in the walls. You can see somebody has clearly hit their head multiple times. And there's also cash all over, bloody cash all over the floor. There are a pair of partial earbuds and a revolver on the floor in the entryway hallway. The police are obviously in shock because they're like, there was some type of struggle going on here. Not sure what type of struggle it was, but there was some kind of struggle going on. So they go deeper into the apartment. I don't like that I said that. They go farther into the apartment and they find the deceased body of 45-year-old Yolanda Holmes. She is suffering from multiple gunshot and stab wounds, and she is deceased upon their arrival. There's also another person in the apartment, the person who made the original 911 phone call, and that is Yolanda's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Curtis. He has also been stabbed. He is bleeding profusely, and so they immediately transfer him to a hospital. Yeah. Imagine walking in on this scene. Like, imagine just walking in and there's blood everywhere and this guy is just bleeding and his girlfriend is dead. Like, what do you think happened? Right? So Yolanda Holmes was a 45-year-old mother of one. She had one son, and she was also a business owner in Chicago. She owned the Nappy Heads Salon, and that was at 4141 Broadway in Chicago, Illinois. Not sure if it's still there. If it is still there, I might hit you up one day. But she was described as a very smart person. She was described as always being very full of life, very energetic. She was always down to help out people in need. She would hold like fundraising events for like the local children when back to school time came, so they could have like books and notebooks and school supplies and things like that. And she was also involved with several churches in her surrounding area. So she sounds like an overall good person, honestly. But one thing that people consistently said that I saw was that Yolanda was not very trusting of strangers. Okay, if she didn't know you, she didn't fuck with you like that. She did not trust strangers. She did not trust people who were not in her immediate circle. So of course, coming upon this scene, police are very skeptical as to what exactly happened. And of course, since Curtis was the one who was there, they want to talk to him right away. So they talk to Curtis, and he tells them that him and Yolanda, went out earlier that night. They went out, they had some dinner, they had some fun, they came home, got into some adult activities, and then they went to sleep. And then around 4:30, he wakes up to the sound of gunshots. And so he's hearing these gunshots. He's like, what the fuck is going on? And he sees this unknown person, this unknown assailant, shooting Yolanda. So let him tell it. They get into an altercation. They get into a fight. They're fighting, they're brawling. It was later found that the blood that was all over the front hallway was actually Curtis's blood from the injuries he had sustained. The assailant had attempted to stab him a couple of times, but I didn't see anything that the assailant also attempted to shoot him, which in my mind at least is like kind of weird, because why are you shooting and stabbing one person and then you're like not going after the other person? Like, what's the motive here, right? But this is Curtis's story, and this is what he says happened. So he says that he got into an altercation with this guy, whoever this guy is, and once I guess the altercation was over, the guy just kind of fled. He just kind of like beat it. And so the police are of course skeptical of this, because like, okay, all right, first of all, if this was like a home invasion or something, it's one thing if somebody gets shot, it's one thing if somebody gets stabbed, but you don't shoot and stab somebody. You just don't. It's got to be more personal than that for you to go that extra mile to shoot them and then also stab them, okay? And so the police are like, we'll see. Let's see if we can check out your story. We'll see. So the police go back to the apartment, and they are trying to collect evidence. Of course, they get the earbuds, and there was like partial DNA found on the earbuds, but when they ran it through the system, they weren't able to find any hits on who could have done this or who could have had these earbuds, where they could have even like fucking come from. So the police are just kind of like, ooh, let's maybe go talk to some friends and family. Oh, I'm sorry, they also were not able to get fingerprints off of the revolver because it has too much blood on it. So they're like, okay, let's go talk to her friends and family. Let's go talk to her friends and family, see what they have to say about this whole situation, and see if they have any ideas as to who could want to hurt Yolanda. Like, there wasn't anybody who immediately came to mind. There wasn't anybody who was like an immediate suspect, I mean, other than Curtis, because Yolanda was a nice person. She was a sweet woman. She was a business owner. Like, she took care of her people. So the police are asking around to friends, family, co-workers, all of the things, and they find out that Curtis and Yolanda actually had a very volatile relationship. Well, I'm not going to say it was a very volatile relationship, but there were reports that they had gotten into arguments, they had gotten into spats, and on some occasions he got physical. There was only one instance I was able to find like clear evidence that something went on. They were at a party. Yolanda had a party at her apartment, and I guess during this party Curtis got a little jealous, and so he pulls Yolanda outside and they arguing. Why the fuck you in the club with niggas wildin'? So they're arguing. Eventually the police are called. I wasn't able to find any clear like evidence that this altercation got physical, but I mean, the police were called. Either y'all got physical or y'all was about to get physical. So the police were called, Curtis is escorted out, and so of course the police are using this as like, okay, well, it's got to be him. Like, he was beating on his girlfriend, they clearly had some issues, like he has to be the guy that we're looking for. They also find out from Yolanda's friends and family that her ex-husband and father of her child actually was also in prison, like currently at the moment, for the murder of 2 other people. I didn't really find any information. He wasn't like down to cooperate with police and try to figure out who did this, so not much of his information is out there. I wasn't able to really find much on him and like who the people were he killed and if that was related. It wasn't mentioned in anything I saw, so I'm gonna assume it's not related. But he was like, yeah, no, I'm not helping y'all. But of course the police are thinking, okay, well, she has this gangster boyfriend. He was a well-known gang member. So they're like, okay, well, she got this gangster ass boyfriend and then this other boyfriend who's hitting on her. So one of these men have to be our unknown assailant, our suspect, our person who committed this crime. What do you call it? I don't know. Let's find all of this information. They're like, okay, well, we need some, like, we get all of that, but we need like some hard evidence. Like, we need real evidence of like somebody who did this. So they decide to check CCTV and surveillance camera footage from in and around the building. So the building that Yolanda was staying at did have security cameras, and so the building superintendent, Mr. Darrell, did provide them with the security camera footage. On the footage, you can see at about 4:30 a.m. there is a man who comes. There's a man who comes to the door. He has on a Adidas jacket and a pair of white shoes. He appears to be holding like dry cleaning bags, like the bags that they put your clothes in when you pick them up from the dry cleaning, as well as like a big thing of laundry detergent. So this guy buzzes in. Okay, he buzzes in. Who buzzes him in, we don't exactly know for sure, but somebody buzzes him in. He enters the building, and about 5 minutes later you see somebody who looks like the same person exiting the building, but this time they have on a pair of black shoes, a black hoodie, and is not carrying the same items that he went in with. Now, if he lived there, if that was his apartment, like, of course he's gonna go down and put his shit down and maybe change, but also it's 4:30 in the morning, so what are you doing? So the police are like, okay, Mr. Darrell, who's this person? Do you know who this person is? Have you ever seen this person before? Mr. Darrell's like, nah, I don't know who that is. That don't look like nobody who stay around here. And so, but he, as the assailant leaves the apartment, he does pass another resident, and Mr. Darrell is able to identify that resident, and he identifies him as Michael. Michael was not given a last name in what I saw. I'm sure Michael has a last name, but I'm sure Michael don't want to be associated with the bullshit. So the police go and they talk to Michael, and they're like, okay, do you know the man who passed you on this evening? We have CCTV footage that he passed you. You were entering the building, he was leaving the building. Did you see like anything identifiable about him? Did you see like any scars, any tattoos, anything? Like anything that the police can go on and work with. So ultimately he's like, nah, I ain't seen no, what you talking about? You got the wrong guy. So sorry for you. So the police are pretty much back where they started, and so they have this CCTV footage, but they don't really have anything to compare it to. They don't have a suspect to compare it to. They don't have really anything. So the police then request what's his name, Curtis and Yolanda's phone records, right? They request these phone records, and it takes a very long time to get back to them. Almost a year later, the police finally get the phone records back, and they find that Yolanda had 2 phones. She had 2 cell phones, and then of course she had a house phone. So they see on Curtis's phone records, we'll start with Curtis's phone records. They see on his phone records that he did make a 911 call from his phone. He told the police that when he made the 911 call, he initially made the call immediately after the assailant left. Okay, as soon as the guy bolted, that's when he called. But the timeline doesn't exactly match up, because he made his 911 phone call at 4:47 a.m., which was about 10 minutes after the assailant was seen leaving on the CCTV footage. Once they get Yolanda's phone records, they check her phone records and they see that on her landline, which was used primarily just for that buzzer system that they had in the apartment, they see on her landline that there was a buzz or a phone call that came in at about 4:30 a.m. and it went unanswered. So they're assuming that this is their assailant buzzing in or calling Yolanda asking her to buzz them in, right? And they're like, well, who could that be? Right? So after that, they also see that on Yolanda's second phone line, there is a unknown number who calls Yolanda's phone, or who calls Yolanda's second phone before, during, and after the time of the murder. They see repeat phone calls from the same number. So they're like, okay, who does this phone number belong to, and how does Yolanda know this person? Okay, I'm spending way too long on my eyes. I'm gonna finish my eyes and then I'll come back and we'll finish this. Okay, as they're done, we're gonna move on to the face. So back to this story. So the phone number that kept calling before, during, and after the murder belonged to a man named Eugene Spencer. Now Eugene did have a previous criminal record, but I'm not sure how he had a previous criminal record and then they also couldn't find him in the system. Make it make sense. But, and this was 2012, so it's not like this was the 80s where everything was on paper, so it really doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. They find Eugene through this phone number, and so in December of 2013 they take him in for official questioning. Eugene says, oh yeah, I heard that. I heard that happened. I heard that, that woman got killed. But I don't know nothing about it. I wasn't involved in none of that. That's not me. Don't look this way. And then afterwards, of course, the police aren't buying this story. So then after that, he goes back to the police and he's like, okay, fine. I'll tell you what really happened. I was robbing this place. And then when I was robbing her, I accidentally shot her. And so the police are still like, okay, great, we got a confession, but it just still doesn't seem totally there. And from all the reports that I saw, there wasn't anything that was missing or out of place. Well, there was a lot of things out of place, but there weren't any objects or personal items or valuables that were missing from the apartment. So the robbery thing is did you rob her or did you just go to kill her? So the police are of course still questioning his story, trying to figure out what the full story is. And eventually Eugene sings like a canary. Okay, he said, you know what, I ain't going down for this shit. Let me go ahead and tell y'all what I know. So Eugene tells police that the entire murder plot was orchestrated by Yolanda's own son, 22-year-old Kwame Wilson. We'll get into Kwame's backstory a little bit later, but we're going to talk about what Eugene told the police first. So Eugene tells the police that Kwame basically recruited him to help him kill his mom. He promised to pay him, and so Eugene's like, okay, cool, yeah, I can do that, that ain't no problem. So on the night in question, February, I guess technically when it happened was February 22nd, but on the, no, not 22nd, February 2nd. But on the evening of February 1st, Kwame had told his mother that he was going out for the evening and that he would be home pretty late. And so, of course, this is part of the reason why Yolanda opened her door. So Kwame tells his mother that he would be home late, and he tells Eugene to just go up to the building and buzz her apartment. And when you buzz her apartment, she'll let you in because obviously she thinks it's her son. And so that's exactly what happened. Eugene goes up. He is seen on the surveillance camera footage buzzing into the apartment, and then he goes up. Yolanda had, of course, answered the buzz. There was like a slight and she assumed it was her son because he told her, I'm gonna be late. So she assumes it's him. She unlocks her front door and she basically just goes back to bed. And so when she's in bed, of course, Eugene comes into the unlocked apartment. He goes not upstairs. He goes directly to Yolanda's bedroom and he shoots her one time. This one shot is the shot that Curtis heard that woke him up. And so Eugene says that he then goes to the kitchen and he gets a paring knife and he is going to go back and stab Yolanda. He tells police that once he shot Yolanda, Kwame, who was on the phone with him the entire time, that's where the phone calls were coming from. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's where the phone calls were coming from. They were on the phone the whole time that this murder is taking place. So Kwame tells Eugene, quote, make sure that bitch is dead. So Eugene takes his little old happy cell phone over to the kitchen and he grabs a paring knife. But before he can go back to where Yolanda is, he encounters Curtis. There's a struggle that ensues. They're fighting. They're struggling for the gun. It's a whole hoopty blah blah blah. Eugene knocks out Curtis with the pistol. Not the pistol, the revolver. I try to get my gun facts right, even though I don't know shit about guns. But he knocks out Curtis with the revolver, which ultimately explains Curtis's holes in his story, because he was knocked out for a portion of time and he just didn't even realize it. After Curtis is knocked out, Eugene then goes back to Yolanda's bedroom and he stabs her, just really making sure to really make it look like overkill. No, I don't know if that was the intention, but that's what the fuck he did. And then he leaves the apartment. He exits the apartment. He's pissed because he thinks that Kwame is trying to set him up. Like, you didn't tell me there was gonna be a nigga in the house. You didn't tell me nobody else was gonna be there. You said that it was gonna be your mama and just your mama, and I was gonna get in and get out. And then all of a sudden, there's this big ass nigga attacking me, right? So understandably so, Eugene is pissed. So let's talk about Kwame for a moment. Kwame was 22 years old at the time of this murder, and he was Yolanda's only son. And from all accounts that I could find, Yolanda was a very like doting, loving mother. She would give Kwame pretty much anything that he asked for. He was her baby boy and she loved him more than anything. Kwame though, he ain't feel the same way about his mom. He ain't have as much love for her as she had for him, apparently. Because prior to this whole incident, Kwame had recently lost his job and Yolanda had cut the purse strings. She said, I ain't got no money for you. Figure it the fuck out. Sorry for it. But I've been supporting you this whole time. And where has it gotten us? So the police do believe that ultimately money was the reason for the murder. It was the motive for the murder. Kwame wanted her life insurance policy. He wanted the $90,000 in her bank account, and he wanted her car. And so Kwame again enlisted Eugene to help him, and he promised to pay Eugene $7,000 to kill his mother, which in my opinion ain't enough to kill anybody, especially somebody's mama. No, $7,000 ain't enough to do nothing. Okay, that won't even pay. If I get caught, if I agree to this, let's just say hypothetically I agree to this $7,000 and I kill this person and I fuck up somehow and I get caught, $7,000 ain't even gonna cover the retainer for my lawyer. So why? Make it make sense. Jesus, make it make sense. Ultimately though, even though he was promised this $7,000, it's reported that Kwame only paid him less than $100. I saw just like $100 in some sources, and then I saw $70 in other sources. You killed your mom and paid them $70? Like, that's how much your mom's life is worth to you? $70? To murder the only person you got? Your daddy in jail? Who the fuck else you got? Like, anyway. So police finally have all of the information they've been looking for. They have all of the things. They know all of the facts. They're like, okay, cool. We got this in the bag. Let's go pick up Kwame. Not Kwame, he didn't give a fuck, okay? He couldn't have gave two shits that his mama was dead, okay? He was out partying. He was living it up. He was throwing that cash, okay? There were videos of him, which I think are still on YouTube. I found a couple of them. If I can remember, I'll link them down below. But there are videos of him on YouTube, like throwing hundreds to people in a parking lot.
Yo, I'm doing this for my neighborhood, dog. I'm doing this for my neighborhood. This for my hood, son. I'm just here to support my people, yo.
No, you know how they do. You know how they do. They get a little bit of money, they start throwing it around. And that's what Kwame was doing. It was also reported that within a week of Yolanda's death, Kwame had also made some very expensive upgrades to his Camaro that his mom bought him. She already bought you the car, bro. Like, what more could you possibly want? Like, I really don't. It really just doesn't make sense to me. Let's see. Kwame was also a rapper, actor, dancer, rapper. He went by Young QC. And yeah, he really didn't seem to care much about the fact that his mother was gone, about the fact that, you know, he was a part of her murder. Like, you couldn't even make it. Look, that's what I don't understand. How are you gonna kill somebody who's so close to you that you know, and then you don't even have the decency to at least like get through the grieving period? You know, give it like 6 to 12 months to really grieve the loss of this important person before you're throwing their money into pools of random people. It's just so disgusting. It's so disgusting. I think it's disgusting. Fight me if you want to. It's disgusting. So Kwame is charged with, what is he charged with? He is charged with murder, of course. And for the orchestration of this, he is given a sentence of 99 years in jail. Eugene, my boy Eugene, he is given a sentence of 100 years in jail. Okay. So Kwame is sentenced to 100 years. No, not 100 years. He's sentenced to 99 years for his involvement in planning his mother's murder. What a piece of shit, right? And Eugene is sentenced to 100 years for his involvement in the murder. Of course, he's gonna get more time because he actually did it. Like, he actually pulled the trigger. And yeah, they're just, as far as I know, they're just sitting in jail, rotting away as they should be. Because again, you don't kill somebody. First of all, you don't kill people at all. That's just that's number one, okay? And then you don't kill somebody for $7,000. Like, that's just, you're lowballing yourself there, bro. Like, I don't get it. There also was another person involved in this whole thing. I didn't really find her name. Well, I found her name, but I'm not gonna include her name because she wasn't a big part of this. She really just drove the car that they used to get away, and she was unaware of the murder plot. She was totally unaware of the murder plot from everything that she says. As far as I know, she did get like some jail time, like a few months or years of jail time, but again, she's not a huge part of this story, so I'm not really gonna involve her. She just drove the getaway car. She didn't know what was going on. But Like, I just really don't understand. Like, how do you, for 70, and then, oh my God, and then I totally forgot to say this part. So before they handed down Carmaine's nice little sentence or whatever, they asked if he had anything to say. You know, do you want to apologize to anybody? Right, do you have anything to say for yourself? Do you want to apologize to anybody? Do you have anything that you want to, you know, get off your chest before we hand down this sentence? And he says like something along the lines of, my mother was all I had, and nobody loved her more than I did, and that's it. Boy, you didn't love her. You didn't love her. Like, you murdered her. You didn't love her. Like, that's not a thing. You don't murder people that you love. And like, I get that sometimes people do murder people that they love, and it's like a mental health issue, you know, they felt like they didn't have a choice in what was happening or whatever the case may be. But no, you set this up. You enlisted other people to help you. You promised money. You had a goal, and you were gonna get that no matter what, no matter who had to go down for you to get what you want. And life ain't about getting what you want. Like, you're such a little baby bitch boy. Like, what the fuck? I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. You killed your mom and paid him $70. Like, that's how much your mom is worth. Like, you loved your mom more than anything in this world, but her life was only worth $70 to you. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. But that is it for today's story. The terrible, horrific murder of Yolanda Holmes. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this look. This look is actually for a baby shower. For once in my life, I'm not doing my makeup for nothing. I'm supposed to be at a baby shower at 1 o'clock and it's 12:45. So I'm gonna go. And if you like this video, subscribe, leave a comment down below as to what you think about this case and any cases you want me to cover in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye. Girl, what?